Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be going over the amazing light novels that are going to be coming out in the month of April 2018. Hello everybody and welcome to this video where I take a look at the light novels that we can look forward to next month. That's going to be the month of April 2018. After some pretty slow months, or, well, they weren't really slow, but, you know, we didn't get completely avalanched with light novels in January, February, and March. April comes on with a vengeance to attack our wallets, not only with over 20 new light novels being released this month, but quite a large selection of brand new titles from J-Novel Club, Cross Infinite Worlds, and Yen On. So, without further ado, we better get into this because this is going to be a long video with so many books. Now, if you're brand new to this series, I will read the blurb for any brand new volume 1s as I go through the video the first time. At the tail end of the video, I read the blurbs for any volumes 2 and up, that way helping you avoid spoilers. If you want to see a specific blurb, there will be a timestamp in the description down below. Also, if you want to pre-order any of these books or purchase them depending on when you're watching this video, you can do so. I've got links to Amazon and the Book Depository in the description as well. On April 2nd from J-Novel Club, we have volume number 8 of Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. This is the sort of darker take on the isekai about a group of individuals who awaken with all of their memories deleted, and they find themselves in this world of Grimgar where they are essentially thrust into the position of becoming adventurers, sort of like these warriors for humanity kind of thing, and the trials and tribulations of trying to learn to become fighters. And yeah, I mean, one of those series where like death is like a legitimate thing, the battles are kind of messy, and probably one of those series that I would say takes a slightly more, I mean, it's hard to call it realistic, but that's probably the best way to put it, of just how incompetent non-fighters would be when they first are faced with foes who are intent on killing them. I really like the first volume. I have not read any more of it, even though it is one of those series that I keep saying to myself I would like to. Maybe at some point I'll try and get at least a little bit caught up. This is also being issued in print from 7 Seas. They're at least a couple volumes behind the ebook releases. On April 5th from J-Novel Club, this is one of their brand new series premiering this month. And that is volume number 1 of Me, a Genius? I was reborn into another world, and I think they've got the wrong idea. Koki has found himself reborn, together with many of his past life memories in an alternate version of Japan. There are no magic or elves? Then what's the point of being reborn in another world? It seems a little disappointing at first, but somehow his childhood sketches inspire his mother to develop a revolutionary new theory that changes the world forever. This sets into motion a series of misunderstandings that has everyone believing that Koki is the real genius behind all of the incredible new technology that his mother is rapidly developing. As a result of his apparent genius, Koki is forced to give up on his peaceful school life to attend the International Science and Technology Academy, where he meets a beautiful Canadian girl, I think that's kind of half the reason I want to read this series, called Alice Alford, a robotics engineer named Shingo Saito, and an expert on space exploration named Megumi Aikawa. Surely he can't still continue being mistaken for a genius while surrounded by these real geniuses. Every time Koki uses his knowledge from his past life, it causes a new misunderstanding, and his ordinary life is gradually turning into an extraordinary life. So this one sounds kind of cute, actually. I'm kind of curious to check this one out, mainly because I think this is one of the first isekais that we've had where the character is just sort of shifted to a similar Japan in terms of development and technology level and not being full of magic. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out. Plus, come on, I want to see how a Japanese author writes a beautiful Canadian girl? I'm just kind of curious. Also on April 5th, now this one is from Seven Seas, and it's actually a reissue of a light novel that they published a number of years ago. They're putting this one out in ebook format only. The one thing that it is kind of noteworthy for is that it's actually a Yuri light novel series. And that is volume number 1 of Strawberry Panic. Strawberry Panic, the first Yuri light novel in North America, is set at Astria Hill, where 3 exclusive all-girls schools converge. At St. Miator Girls' Academy, gentle breezes scatter cherry blossoms across its lush campus. Nagisa, a normal and cheerful high school student, is stunned when she meets Shizuma, the school's top student, whose beauty takes her breath away. When Shizuma unexpectedly reciprocates Nagisa's feelings, both love and wacky chaos soon erupt. From what I can tell, I think there's only 3 volumes in this series. Like I said, this apparently is one that Seven Seas issued earlier, and now they are bringing back an ebook format. They did something similar with Boogie Pop, and then once Boogie Pop got a new anime announced, suddenly now they're printing their old Boogie Pop catalog. So, who knows, maybe if this one does well, we can see it in print as well. I'll probably check it out, just because, you know, it's different, which is something I often say how much I'd like to read on this channel. On April 7th from J-Novel Club, we have volume number 5 of If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Defeat a Demon Lord. This series, initially starts off as a sort of sweet fantasy slice of life story about an adventurer adopting a young devil girl who he finds in a forest while he is adventuring. Not too sure if I really like the path that it has taken, but I've read the first 2 volumes. I did enjoy them. It is a series that I think there's only 6 or 7 volumes currently, so I may try and catch up on it. But like I said, I'm not totally sold on where the series has gone with their relationship. On April 9th from J-Novel Club, volume number 4 of The Faraway Paladin. This one, a reincarnation type isekai story. The first 2 volumes were excellent. Volume 3 is actually split into 2 parts. And now this, of course, is the 4th volume. I believe the 5th volume is just coming out in Japan. That's just recently released. And I believe it's a short story volume. Or maybe this is the short story volume. Yeah, I think this is the short story volume, actually. In any case, I really liked this series, the first 2 volumes. It was very well written, and probably one of my favorite magic systems of any fantasy series that we've gotten so far in English light novels. On April 10th, from Yen On. Now, this was a delay from March, and that is volume number 13 of Accel World. Raki Kawahara's other series, aside from the Sword Art books. One of my favorites, actually. I've reviewed all of these books. I'm completely up to date on the English releases, and I'll be definitely picking up volume number 13 when it comes out. On April 11th from J-Novel Club, now this is another brand new series from them. It's a new volume number 1, although it is a spin-off series, and that is volume number 1 of Arifureta 0. This is the prequel series. This is the story of what happened long before Hajime was summoned to Tortoise. Oscar Orcus is considered a third-rate synergist by most people. He spends his days peacefully, working so he can send money back to an orphanage. All that changes when the whirlwind that is Milady Racin storms into his life. Milady sees the hidden potential in Oscar and invites him on her journey to defeat the gods. Oscar wants no part of any journey, and he refuses. But Milady is persistent, and the situation changes drastically when the orphanage he wants to protect is attacked. In the end, what will our unlikely hero decide? Well, I think that's kind of like a useless sentence to put in there at the end, because we know what he's going to decide if we've read Arifureta. I'm curious to see what this series is like. I'm curious to see what the tone of this spin-off series is like, given the sort of testosterone overdrive of the main Arifureta series. So it'll be interesting to check this one out. On April 16th, also from J-Novel Club, and also a brand new series start, This one is volume number 1 of Infinite Stratos. In a world of technological progress, females are the only ones who can pilot the most advanced military unit in history, the Infinite Stratos, IS. With this power, women have seized complete control of all political, social, and economic ventures, leaving men to the fringes of society, made to tend to the whims of their now female overlords. That is, until Orimura Ichika, the sole male found to have IS piloting ability, is thrust into the spotlight and enrolled at the prestigious IS Academy. Stuck in the middle of a female-dominated population, Ichika sets out to prove men still have a place in this world. Little did he know, he is just the thing these women have been looking for. Now this is a big-time harem series. In fact, this I think is what a lot of people kind of pops in their head as one of the series that really set up that whole clueless male protagonist being chased by every girl in the book. I remember watching the anime, and it had its moments, and I remember thinking there's got to be more story to this aside from the fan service. Or also at the same time, how does this fan service translate into a written novel? And apparently on April 16th, I'm going to find out. On April 17th, from 7 Seas, we have volume number 2 of Monster Girl Doctor. This one set in a city where monsters and humans cohabitate 10 years after a war between monsters and humans ended. The first volume was a really mixed bag to me. It had its moments, but it was one of those books that I thought really just didn't know what it wanted to be, whether it wanted to be the ecchi comedy series or whether it wanted to be more of a serious commentary using monster girls as sort of a commentary on race and bigotry and everything else. You know what? Like I said, it was one of those ones I was like, kind of iffy on. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to bother picking up the second volume. But I mean, hey, if you love Monster Girls, it's at least one light novel to help scratch that itch. On April 20th from J-Novel Club, volume number 3 of Outbreak Company. This one, kind of an interesting take on the isekai. I really liked the first volume, and it's basically about this normal average otaku who is kidnapped by the Japanese government and is put in charge of bringing otaku culture to this other world that the Japanese government have found a path to on Mount Fuji. It was funny, like it had its comedic moments, but there was like this sort of more serious take going on under the surface, and I was very curious to see how that was going to play out. So one of those series that I'm not too far behind. I'm only, well, if I can get volume 2 read before April 20th, I'll only be one behind, but definitely one that I wanted to read some more of just to see how the series progresses, whether it looks more at the comedic and just kind of, uses the more serious idea as just window dressing or what it does. I'm curious to see, so definitely a series that I'm considering picking up more of, just so I can get a better feel of what the series is all about. Then on April 24th, we get all of the major yen-on releases for this month instead of, Accel World, which was just delayed from March. First off, we have volume number 6 of The Asterisk War. This one, a high school magical battle type series. I've only read the first volume. It really didn't grab me, and I kind of moved ahead. I've heard from a number of you that the series does get kind of better as you get into it, but it still remains a very much guilty pleasure kind of series. So volume number 6 is coming out in April. Also on April 24th, we get volume number 7 of Bakano. This one, of course, written by the same author of Durarara, kind of dealing with the same sort of elements, combining that sort of street-level crime, gangs, and stuff like that, but merging it with supernatural elements. However, the thing that sort of sets Bakano apart is that it is a period piece, and for the most part, seems to be set in America, which is kind of interesting. I did pick up the first volume and checked it out. I liked it, but was more of a fan of Durarara and To be honest, at the time it was only available in hardcover, and the price point kind of made me think that if I wasn't completely in love with it, I could kind of leave it, and so I did. Also on April 24th from Yen On, we get volume number 10 of The Devil is a Part-Timer. This series, one of my faves. I've read all of the releases up to date. The last 2 volumes have been really good, very cliffhanger endings on them, really pushing the story forward, moving away from that sort of self-contained stories that we've had in earlier volumes, creating this bigger, longer arc. Been really, really good, filled with characters that I absolutely love, has a great mix of sort of that supernatural, action, fighting, slice of life, comedy. It's just a really good blend of elements. One of my faves. Also on April 24th from Yen On. Now this is one of their new series that is premiering this month, and that's volume number 1 of I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 Years and Maxed Out My Level. After living a painful life as an office worker, Azusa ended her short life by dying from overworking. So when she found herself reincarnated as an undying, unaging witch in a new world, she vows to spend her days stress-free and as pleasantly as possible. She ekes out a living by hunting down the easiest targets, the slimes. But after centuries of doing this simple job, she's ended up with insane powers. How will she maintain her low-key life now? I'm very interested in reading this series. And you know what? It's one of those series where part of it, I think, is the cover, because it's just this adorable witch girl on the cover, and I'm interested because it's a female protagonist, for one, because that's something that we don't have a lot of in the light novels that we've gotten in English. I'm also kind of curious because we haven't had a lot of, like, these seems to be a bigger sort of theme in Japan, but we haven't gotten a lot of these books where it is a character who literally worked themselves to death and then now has been reincarnated and just wants to live a really simple, easygoing life, but, you know, things kind of conspire against them. Like I said, we see a lot more of these, it seems, in the Japan light and the light novels that are out in Japan. We haven't gotten a lot of them in English, so I'm excited to see this one and look forward to checking it out. Also on April 24th from Yen On, we have volume number 5 of Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World. And what a wonderful series. I love this series. You know what? You want to talk about a series that when you really just want to kind of chill out and have a chuckle, this is what I would prescribe to scratch that itch. It really is a great series in that way, and I'm caught up to the date on this one, so I'll be picking up volume 5 for sure when it comes out. Also on April 24th from Yen On. Yen On's pumping out a lot of books this month, and this is another brand new series, and that is volume number 1 of Reborn as a Vending Machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon. A middle-aged man with only one passion in his life meets a fitting end in a traffic accident. That's where most stories would end, but instead, this is when his story begins, when he's reborn as what he admired the most in life, a vending machine. But his new lease on life happens in the worst place possible. What can a vending machine do in a monster-infested dungeon when he can't speak or even move on his own? Yes, we have gotten to the point. We've had spider reincarnations, which turned out a lot better than I thought it would. We've had slime reincarnations, which, again, was pretty decent. Now it's vending machines. I don't know what strikes me worse in this description, the fact that he's reincarnated as a vending machine, or it is the thing that he admired most in his previous life. Oh, Japan, you give us the greatest things. Although I don't think this is quite, well, okay, it probably is as quite, but I mean, they've also got one where a guy is like reincarnated as a hot spring. I I don't even know. Anyway, also on April 24th from Yen On, we have volume number 4 of Rokka, Braves of the Six Flowers. Now, this a fantasy series. The first 2 volumes that I have read combined sort of a story structure heavily borrowed from mystery and combined it with the whole summoned warriors who are destined to fight the demon lord type of story. I really like the first 2 books. I've got the third one. I'm hoping to have that read before volume 4 comes out so I don't fall behind. It's not a very long series. I think there's only 6 books in it in total. So definitely a series that I've really enjoyed and one that I'm very curious about just how it's going to kind of end. So I'll be checking out volume 4 when it gets released as well. Also on April 24th from Yen On, a ongoing series that I am up to date with and been reading, volume number 13 of Sword Art Online. Like really, what is there to say about this? This is the Alicization arc. I believe this is like the 4th volume of Alicization. So this is the one, this storyline is the one that is going to form the basis for the next season of the anime, which is in production. So far, this arc has been pretty decent. It's had its bumpy moments, but I would say overall, it has really benefited from Kawahara making it longer and taking his time with it, as opposed to a lot of the other arcs where it just kind of felt rushed and there was only 1 or 2 books. And Alicization is a huge arc in comparison. It lasts for 9 volumes, so we're almost at the halfway point of the arc, and like I said, it's been pretty cool so far, so I'll be checking out volume number 13 when it comes out. Finally, to end the Yen On releases on April 24th, we have volume number 2 of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Kind of funny that we have a book about killing slimes and a book about being reincarnated as a slime in the same month on the same day from the same company. I find that funny. Anyway, I did read volume number 1 of this. Like I said earlier, one of those ones that I kind of was, I don't know how this is going to go, but turned out pretty good. An interesting take on sort of the kingdom building type isekai genre. In this case, it's actually a mixed race kingdom of monsters that our main slime character is kind of putting together. I'm very interested to see where this series goes. It has done very well in Japan. It's very popular. They have announced that there's going to be an anime based on it. So I'm curious to sort of see where this story goes. I wasn't completely blown away by the main character, but I am still, he was still good enough that I'm curious to see what his growth pattern is going to be like over the next couple of books at the very least. Also on April 24th, this from Seven Seas, it is Perfect Blue, Awaken from a Dream. Now this one is only thematically kind of connected to the other Perfect Blue novel, that novel serving as the basis for the anime movie, which was an awesome film, by the way. This one delved deeper into the dark underbelly of superstardom, where fame comes at a steep price. In this sequel anthology to the hit psychological thriller Perfect Blue, creepy fans thrust their idols into struggles of life and death, gruesome body switches, bloody fan letters, and a stalker in a terrifying rabbit costume. It's a life of fame and misfortune that lies in wait for these hapless pop stars. Also on April 24th, this one from Vertical. Now, fingers crossed this actually gets released on April 24th. That is Kabukimonogatari, so the next volume in the Monogatari series. The previous volume, Neko Monogatari White, which I'll actually have a review of up on Sunday, it was delayed, and now the next book that's coming out this same day from Vertical is another Nishio Ishin title, which is the second part of the Zarigoto series, and it was delayed from March. So now Vertical has never released 2 Nishio Ishin titles on the same day. So I did reach out to them when I found out that Strangulation was being delayed and said, what about Kabuki? They said at this point, it's still set to release on that date, but, this could change, but I'll include it on the list because, well, so far it's supposed to be out. So like I just mentioned, also on April 24th from Vertical, it's going to be volume number 2 of the Zarigoto series, and that is Strangulation, Kubishime Romanticist. This one, a mystery series by Nishio Ishin. I kind of liked the first one. It was a locked room mystery type series. This one, I have heard from a number of people that it is far, far better than volume number 1. So I'm looking forward to checking this out because I do enjoy me a bit of Nishio Ishin writing. On April 29th from J-Novel Club, we have volume number 2 of New Life Plus, Young Again in Another World. This, of course, an isekai series. I read the first one. It was surprising. It had the most mundane sounding setup of just about any light novel series that's an isekai that I can think of. Like, you know, talk about paint by numbers, and yet what really sold it were just these little tweaks that made it interesting. The main character doesn't remember his previous life. All that exists in him is muscle memory and sort of the shrewd kind of knowledge, you know, attitude and behavior that comes with having lived a long life. And then there's at least one other side character who was absolutely fascinating and engaging. Yeah, this one kind of really surprised me. I got to be honest. I really thought that I would be bored and that it would be the most mundane isekai that I had read, and yet it surprised me. So I'll be checking out volume number 2 when it releases just to see if it can keep up those surprises. And then finally for the month of April, on April 30th, we have a brand new book from Cross Infinite Worlds, and that is Mia and the Forbidden Medicine Report. During an age of magic, Mia Baumann is born in a prosperous country where the greatest fear is illness. Ever since her sick mother was wrenched away from her and locked behind the walls of the sanatorium, Mia fought to get accepted by the prestigious Royal Academy as a pharmacology student in order to find a cure for her disease. Demon Claw and Angel Tears are the two malevolent diseases that ravage Isia Kingdom after they conquered the small island nation of Radius. The first is highly infectious, and its victims are quarantined. The second drives mages insane. After admission to the academy, the unthinkable happens. Mia forms a cross-department research team with the nobleman law student Felix, the valedictorian medical student Henrik, and the bear-like mage Matthias. However, there are others who will do anything to stop the team from discovering the dark secrets behind these two diseases. Find out if Mia will stand her ground despite bullying, isolation, and magic attacks to unveil the deeply hidden truth in this mystery shoujo light novel. Sounds pretty good, actually. Now, they haven't put like a volume 1 on this, so a lot of Cross Infinite Worlds books seem to be standalone single volume releases, so I kind of think that's what this one is, but I'm not 100% certain. So those are all the light novels that are going to be releasing in April of 2018. I'll now go back and read the blurbs for all the volumes 2 and up that I skipped over. If you want to check those out, keep on watching. If you want to avoid spoilers, but there's a particular blurb you want to watch, again, there are timestamps in the description down below. And again, if you want to pick up any of these, I do have links to Amazon.com or the Book Depository where you can pre-order them or purchase them depending on the date that you're watching this video. So let's just go right on back to the beginning and start with the blurbs for the later volumes. On April 2nd, Volume 8, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. Having overcome many trials and tribulations, Haruhiro and the others succeed in returning to Grimgar. However, though they have returned, they are a long way from the human sphere of influence. When Haruhiro and Yume go scouting, they're lucky enough to encounter members of another party in the Daybreakers clan, the Typhoon Rocks. However, they engaged in a battle against groups of orcs and undead in order to accomplish a certain goal, and Haruhiro and Yume, along with the other 4 who were left behind, are caught up in the fighting. April 7th, Volume 5, If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Defeat a Demon Lord. Everything seems to be finally coming together for Latina and Dale. They live in a place where they feel like they belong. They're surrounded by people they love, and Dale has finally asked for Latina's hand in marriage. Before long, though, the Devil Girl realizes what being the 8th Demon Lord means. The other Demon Lords will stop at nothing to destroy her, and that will put everything she holds dear in peril as well. And to prevent that, Latina decides she must sacrifice herself. However, as a first-rate hero and Latina's retainer, Dale won't let that happen, and he sets out to do what he must: eliminate the 7 Demon Lords. April 9th, Volume 4, The Faraway Paladin. After returning from the battle at the Rust Mountains, what awaited Will was not a fairy tale ending or another terrifying threat, but the commonplace events of his everyday life. His friendship and a fierce battle with his dependable ally, the swordsman Raisto, an adventure in a snow-filled forest with the troubadour Bee, a battle with an ancient indomitable giant, and prayers and conversation with the god of flame. Penned by the Paladin, these are the stories of a single winter. April 10th, Volume 13 of Accel World. Finally, it seems Haruyuki, aka Silver Crow, is ready to take on Metatron. But first, he must prepare for his school's cultural festival. Meanwhile, the dual avatar Magenta Scissor spreads chaos throughout the accelerated world. April 17th, Monster Girl Doctor Volume 2. Wherever the Monster Girl Doctor goes, Monster Girls will soon follow. Glenn and Safi, along with Tessalia and her attendants, head to the Harpy village high in the Vivra Mountains, but it soon becomes clear that Harpies won't be his only patients. Besides a moody and flightless Harpy, Glenn finds himself tending to a bedridden centaur, and maybe even a destructive force of nature, not to mention fending off the attentions of a very assertive Arachne. Can Glenn handle the wiles of these monstrous girls? April 20th, Volume number 3 of Outbreak Company, a soccer shocker. On the far side of a hyperspace tunnel in Mount Fuji's Sea of Trees lies the Holy Eldent Empire, a fantasy world complete with dragons flying through the sky. Kano Shinichi is general manager of Amutech, a company that specializes in bringing otaku culture to other worlds, and he's finding himself having some unique personnel problems. Like the fact that his resident artist, Elvia, is a werewolf, so naturally she goes nuts at a certain special time of the month. And Brooke, the lizard man, is, well, he's basically a lizard man. Meaning Shinichi can never quite tell what he's thinking. What to do. Shinichi's solution is one only an otaku could come up with. Build a little team spirit through sports. He plans to hold a game in front of the Empress herself, but in a world rife with magic, there's no way things will go quite how he expects. Which side will succeed in this super soccer showdown? April 24th, Volume 6 of the Asterisk War. At long last, the Phoenix Festa is over, and Julis invites Ayato to visit her home of Liaseltania. But as the king throws lavish parades and parties in their honor, Ayato comes to understand Julis's concerns for her country. Meanwhile, the Witch of Solitary Venom sets her sights on the pair. April 24th, Volume 7 of Bakano. The year 1933. Tim is a man who discarded his past, but could never forget his brother. Dallas is just a thug, but he always wanted to protect his sister. A mysterious person named Vino is the absolute worst killer, yet he's always loved his fiancée. Will the sun peek out from behind the clouds once the bloody rain stops? April 24th, Volume 10, The Devil is a Part-Timer. Mao and Suzuno travel to Ente Isla to rescue Emi and Ashia, but for some reason, the Devil King never recovered his powers. Still stuck in his human form with Asieth, how is Mao going to save anyone? April 24th, volume number 5 of Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World. After Kazuma and crew's less than relaxing vacation, Union burst onto the scene with a shocking news. The Crimson Magic Clan is in danger, and she wants to bear his children to save it. Kazuma returns with her to the village, but the situation isn't quite what he expected. April 24th, volume number 4 of Rokka, Braves of the Six Flowers. The Braves of the Six Flowers forge ahead, struggling desperately to escape Tagurnio's latest scheme and discover the impostor among them before it's too late. But this time, the Braves have agreed to work with one of the Fiend commanders. April 24th, volume 13 of Sword Art Online. After Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh are separated in the Central Cathedral, Yu-Gi-Oh continues his quest alone, until he encounters a legendary hero he's admired since childhood. Can Yu-Gi-Oh defeat him alone? April 24th, volume number 2, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. 37-year-old Satoru Mikami got a new lease on life when he was reincarnated into another world as a slime named Rimuru Tempest. But with the help of his wits, his newfound powers, and a little luck, he's started building a cross-species village of goblins, direwolves, and dwarves. Rimuru doesn't know it yet, but his arrival is bringing major changes to his new world. April 24th, Kabukimonogatari. Officially the second part of Monogatari's second arc, Kabuki dives into the past of one of the Monogatari's first heroines, Mayoi Hachikuji. With an animated series by Sony, Kabukimonogatari is a must-read for Bake fans, and a must for fans of Japanese YA fiction. A few months after he first met Mayoi Hachikuji, Araragi set out to deliver something to the young lady. Unable to find her, Araragi gives up and heads home, and realizes that he has not done any of his summer assignments, even though today is the last day of summer break. With help from Shinobu, Koyomi travels back to the past so that he can finish them, but instead they end up traveling back a full 11 years. The current date is May 13th. It is the day before that Mother's Day when Mayoi left to see her mother. Koyomi realizes that he has an opportunity to save Mayoi, but is he aware of what may result when you change the past like that? April 24th, Volume 2 of the Zarigoto series, Strangulation, Kubishime Romanticist. The debut work from Nishio Ishin, Zarigoto is Nishio Ishin's twist on the I novel, where his narrator reveals a mystery and tries desperately to not take part in what transpires over the work. Full of intriguing young characters and action-filled drama, strangulation and decapitation are the basis for the modern light novel movement, creating a new genre of literature for Japan's X generation and beyond. It's easy to love a person, but difficult to continue doing so. Just as murdering a person is easy, but continuing to do so is difficult. Unable, probably innately, to look away from the truth under any circumstances, a sincere, honest guy who's lived thus far without grasping the notion of deceit, namely me, encountered in May a serial killer named Hitoshiki Zerozaki. He was a knife of a will, a knife of a dynamic, and a knife of nonsense. April 29th, Volume 2, New Life Plus, Young Again in Another World. Renya had a problem. It wasn't the fact that he learned how to use Magecraft. That was actually pretty awesome. The problem was that his mana pool proved to be abysmally small, and he could barely squeeze out a few orbs of light before running out of mana. So he decided to diligently practice the only spell he knew in the hopes that his mana pool would gradually improve. At the same time, he decided that some physical training was in order and set out to train in the conveniently large stretch of nothingness north of town. It was there that he ran into a rather strange character who proposed a trade, item for item, to which he eventually agreed. When Renya returned to town, he found that Shion had accepted a mission in his absence. Renya's party had their first job, and it was a big one. Raid and destroy the newly discovered dungeon near town, a cooperative effort between multiple parties. But being a party of newcomers, Renya's troop was not well received by some of their peers. Renya could not be bothered to ease the tension either, and the meeting ended with a pact of mutual non-cooperation. Nevertheless, a mission was a mission, and they would see it through. With animosity thick in the air, the parties headed off. Would they survive their dungeon raid? And before that, would they survive each other? So those are all the light novels releasing in April of 2018. Let me know in the comments the ones you are most looking forward to and why. If you're brand new to the channel, you should consider subscribing. I do this type of a video every month, as well as doing weekly reviews of 2 to 3 light novels and a weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.